Welcome to the Digital Amateur Television Experimenters Night. This is VK7 OTC, the club station of the Radio and Electronics Association of Southern Tasmania. Amateur radio is a worldwide hobby that has many different aspects. Digital television is just one of the many modes and areas that are covered. Maybe you're interested in becoming involved in the DATV Experimenters Nights. You realise that you do not have to be a radio amateur or need any ATV equipment to participate anywhere in the world. Also participate on the night by coming up to the Queen's Domain clubrooms. Yes, right on top of the Queen's Domain in the heritage-listed Coast Wireless Station. You never know, we might get you in front of the camera or behind doing one of the many roles during the night. We get underway with our program on a Wednesday night from 7:30 p.m. local time. We'll see you soon. This is VK7 OTC.
Okay, this is VK7 OTC, the club station, the Radio and Electronics Association of Southern Tasmania, with our DATV Experimenters Night, and we're coming to you from sunny Hobart, and it's Justin, VK7 TW at the mic. Now, before we get fully underway, I'd like to acknowledge Tasmanian Aboriginal people as the traditional owners of the land and pay my respects to elders past, present and emerging, for they hold the memories, the knowledge and the culture and hopes of Aboriginal Tasmania. So huge, and actually before I get underway, a very special welcome to our overseas and outside of VK7 members. We now have 6 outside of VK7 members from ZL, from the US, from the UK and from VK3 and VK4. So a special welcome to all those people out there, anybody on the stream who is watching tonight. So fantastic. We put out a bit of a call for outside of VK7 members, and they came in droves. So thank you and welcome. So what we're going to go through tonight, we've got a bit of a presentation, and I can show you. Specifically set up for SDR radios, and I'll go through what that's all about in the not too distant future. I also have we're going to take a quick look at the latest and greatest Radio Theory Handbook from Fred Swainston. This is version 6. It was released recently and comes with lots and lots of information. So if you're wanting to upgrade or to revise your amateur radio theory and knowledge, that's certainly the book that I'd recommend. And then if we get some time, what we're going to go through is the latest and greatest amateur radio magazine, which the theme for this magazine is When All Else Fails. So, and there's some great articles in here. Also, a wonderful article about VK7 YLs, written by Linda, VK7 QP. So let's get underway. DragonOS. Bit interesting because the creator was very, and it's another COVID project. I'll just warn you, it's another COVID project. But the creator was very inspired by the Kali distro, and those people out there who are really into Ubuntu and into Linux versions, and are also into security and cybersecurity, etc., will all know what I'm talking about here. There is a distro called Kali that was released, which has a whole bucket load of tools. No bucket load of tools. Oh, okay. Very good pickup, Ben. Very good pickup. When I go to the camera, it's not showing what I think it should be showing. Now, just let me just try something here, just very quickly. We're going to go to, how about that? Oh no, we still have the camera, so that's fantastic. This is the feed from that particular PC. So I just tested that. So thank you, Ben, for letting me know. And David's picked up the same thing. So what he wanted to do was create a distribution, a Linux distribution, that was specifically focused on SDR and SDR, so software-defined radios, and all of the toolkits that go with that, all of the peripheral applications. We saw last week with Mike VK7DMH and his microwave satellite reception presentation. He had a particular SDR software package. He had Gyro, which is a ACARS or an aircraft reporting system decoding application that was sitting on top of that, and it was going on and decoding all of this data coming down from the satellite that was receiving this from various planes that were flying around. There is SSTV. There is ATV, so there's an ATV transmit function, which if we get time, I'll show you. But there is a bucket load of other applications that are included with this. If you know about GNU Radio Companion, then this is a fantastic toolkit of applications and blocks. It's a bit like putting together Lego, where you can put in a filter and a modulator and a demodulator, and you can put it all together and link it all together. And if you've got an SDR that supports that has a GNU radio interface with it, you can then basically create on the screen a radio with a filter and a this and a that and a decoder and whatever else, and literally create all of the blocks that are involved with what in a software-defined radio. There are a whole lot of actually I can show you. There is a huge number, absolutely huge number, and I don't know whether I can show you or represent this in any way, shape or form. If I go to, I think that's correct. No, let's try that. Great. Bit of a bold transition there, but and I'll zoom in here a little bit so you can potentially read this. There are, and I've highlighted a few things here. This is the ACARS decoder that I'm talking about. There are a whole lot of, there's obviously GNU radio, but there is GNU radio that has a configuration for ADSB, for the air modes, for DEX2T, there is GRNet, there is the setup for HackRF, so if you're using that as an SDR, there's an inspector, there's a GNU radio for Iridium satellites, one for the LimeSDR, there's one for LoRa, the time base. There is one for the NFC, so the RFID type arrangements. There's ones for satellites. There's a setup for satellites. There's a setup for smart meters. There's a setup that uses the Soapy interface, and there is scanners and all sorts of things. So there are huge, and these are all included in the distro. Down here on its own, and I'll show you this in a minute, is CubicSDR. This is a fairly popular SDR front end. There's Gyro, which is the ACARS decoder. There's JS8 Call, so this is WSJT. There's JTGX, which is another version. Turn over the page. There is another page of possible Linrad. Now, Linrad is a audio processing application, incredibly powerful. There's another one for GNU Radio. There's MMDVM. This is for the hotspot, so you can turn it into your SDR into a hotspot if it can receive the frequencies. There's OpenWebRX. So if you've been to any of the web receivers around the place, this enables you to put your receiver onto the OpenWebRX network. There's a whole lot of Osmo applications in here as well, and I don't purport to know any of these, but they're all included in the distro. There's QSSTV, which is the Linux version of to give you SSTV. RTL-SDR airband configuration. There's SDR++, which is another front end. There's SDR Angel, which Mike talked about the other day as a possibility for microwave satellite reception. There's another front end called Shiny SDR. There is Sigdigger, which is a fantastic application, which I'll try to give you a bit of a view of. Sigdigger enables you to it's a really simple SDR front end, but there is an inspector function that enables you to try and work out what's actually being transmitted and modulated. It's the SoapySDR modules. So many of the SDRs these days support a Soapy interface, and these are the modules to support that. There's Splat. Now this is a propagation prediction tool. Really nice prediction tool, so that's included. Over the page, so we're on our third page. There's a whole lot. There's a spy server, a sniffer. There's a Tetra pack in here, so if you've got Tetra out there, you can decode. There's a trunk recorder. There is Wireshark, which is if you want to work out what's going on your network at a packet level. Wireshark, WSJTX, of course. RF tools. There's another front end, Tempest SDR. And there is the Q flipper. So if you've got your little Raspberry Pi based RF tool, your flipper, which there's a couple of people here in the club who have got them and swear by them because they're a little toolkit to enable you to decode all sorts of things. Now that's enough. Now what have we got here? You're back to refurb regressions. Yes, Andrew, we are. But I know that when I go to the desktop, the audio is still there, so we're good. Hello, David. Hello, David Somerville, David Bannister, and Andrew and Ben. Hello. So what I'm going to do now, unfortunately, what I've got to do is when I start this up, if I go to here. Just ignore what I just did, and if I go to here, there, okay. So if I start up, the very first one I was going to show you, and actually let's go back to, I'll just show you the DragonOS notebook has on it a Pluto. Now for those who don't know, the Adelam Pluto is a development platform that's released by Analog Devices. Really nice little platform. It goes from about 70 megahertz to about 6 gigs. I think I've bumped this one up. I've done the hack on this one and it bumps it up to about 7 gigs. So this is, I've also put in, I've actually also put in, well, let's go all the way over here. Yes, it will. Okay, there we go. So let's go back to here, zoom out. This is the Adelam Pluto. I have also put on here the other connectors on this base. So it comes with these two, which is TX1 and RX1. This is a transceiver. So this is an SDR transceiver up to 7 gigs. I've also there are a couple of other connectors inside that you can connect to, which enables you to put an external clock on here, so like a GPS disciplined clock. It also, I've brought out TX2 and RX2 because there are 2 complete transceivers in this box as a bit of a test platform. So the Adelam Pluto is one of the platforms. This goes into the PC via the USB cable. This is one of them, and then I also have, and I'm not going to pull it out because it'll. Oh, I can pull it out. What the hell? I also have on another USB port a RTL-SDR, which is a stock standard RTL-SDR. I've done the if you flip it over, I've done the frequency the frequency accuracy test on this, and you can see it's out by 0.085 parts per million. So I can put that into the SDR front end, and I've also got a funny little mobile antenna on this. It's the one that I picked up. So it's got a bit of an antenna on it, so it's actually going to receive some things when I try and do this. Now the first one I was going to show you was Sigdigger. Now Sigdigger is a really great little. Now what I've got to be able to do here is I'll go to. I think it's that one there. No, it's that one there. Okay. Now, if I pull this across, there we go. Now, this is going to be a bit challenging because I'm having to look at it. I'm actually having to look at it on a screen that's a fair distance away. But anyway, now we've still got audio. Excellent. So, now Sigdigger, pretty standard interface. You go through and you configure. Let me bring up this one. You configure it for your particular platform. In this particular case, I've got it on the Pluto, and you can specify the bandwidth and a few other parameters and all sorts of things in there. So you can go through and configure that. You can see I've got it on 1296.15, which is our particular 23 centimeter working frequency, and I brought in with me my ICOM T81A. So I can show you my T81A quad band handheld, which does 6, 270 and 23 centimeters. So this is so I can show you that it is actually doing something. And if I key down on 1296.15. You can see that it picks up a bit of a signal there, and if I turn this is VK7 OTC. I'll just identify. If we turn the freak volume muted, no, not volume. We should have. If I'm maybe I haven't got the settings right, but anyway, you can see the signal. You can well and truly see the signal. I can change it to another frequency, and then it would come out on a different frequency. But you can see 1296.15. It's receiving on the Pluto perfectly all right, and in fact I could do that on the RTL-SDR as well. But I think that's going to be a bit challenging for me. But anyway, so this is Sigdigger. You can then go into, I'll just stop transmitting on that. You can then, if we scroll, now this is the challenging bit. If I scroll over a little bit here, and I scroll down, you can see that we go into a open inspector screen. And I'll just open this just to show you what it then comes up with. It gives you a whole lot of other screens to be able to analyze what you're actually listening to, the phase of it, the level of it, whether there's any discernible modulation on it, etc. So you can start to try and work out with the inspector what you're actually looking at from what you're receiving on the SDR. So this is a really nice feature. Now I'm going to be brutally honest here and say I have played with this a little bit. It is a little bit beyond me right at the moment. So what I was going to do was I'll do another presentation once I've gone through and discerned how the inspector works, and then give you a few ideas of like a PSK signal and a WSJT signal and a few other signals, and give you an idea of the power of Sigdigger. So that was the first thing I was going to show you. Now, let's close that one off, and we'll go down, and I was going to show you the next one. Now this is one that many people will be familiar with, which is CubicSDR. And with CubicSDR, now when CubicSDR comes up, I'll show you this. It comes up and says, these are all the inputs. These are all Soapy inputs. So there's a native one, and then there is a RTL-SDR. These are all native, and then if there was a Soapy interface in there, SDR in there, it would come up and say Soapy and the particular SDR. So what I'm going to do here is I was going to select the RTL-SDR and go Start. And then, if we bring this across, this is CubicSDR. Now, many people will be aware of CubicSDR. This is showing you the FM broadcast band. Oh, there you go. And just let me bring this back, because I'm having a bit of trouble. Let me bring this back to here we go. So 90, just let me tune this and go to stereo. Now I won't play too much of this, or YouTube's going to get upset about it and give me copyright infringement notices. So this is Triple J. That we're looking at here, an ABC stereo, FM stereo station. You can see down here is your course frequency. It gives you from about 93 through until 92 through until about 93.5, and then it zooms in. What you've got here is zoomed in up here. And then in this particular case, we're decoding stereo, so this is the audio stream, stereo stream that's up here. And you can save this as a bookmark over here and do all sorts of things. So really simple little interface. CubicSDR, it supports lots and lots of different SDR platforms, so it's a good little front end to SDR. It comes pre-installed, and you don't have to do any configuration other than telling it what SDR you want it to actually use. Now the next one I was going to show you is GQRX. This is another one, fairly old one, that's been around for a while. GQRX, I'll just bring it up. GQRX, I'll start it. GQRX, even simpler platform. Now what we've got is I've got it tuned to 146.1, and I've got a little handheld here that I can bring up 140 and transmit on 146.1, and you can see, there we go. This is VK7 OTC testing testing for the DATV night over. And so you can see a very simple little interface. Here's your bandwidth that you're looking at on the screen. You can put in offsets, you can put in the decoding, etc., etc., and there's a whole lot of other filters and bits and pieces you can put in here, and the SDR settings, so you can change all them. So GQRX, really simple little SDR application. And available, again, supports multiple platforms, as well as SoapySDR, which supports, lets you go to multiple different platforms. It comes, can I just say, it natively supports, so it natively supports Pluto, RTL-SDR, HackRF, LimeSDR, and there's a range of others that it supports natively. So all those drivers are already installed. Next week or the week after, I'm actually hoping to show you DragonSDR running on the Raspberry Pi, on a Raspberry Pi 64. So this is a Raspberry Pi 4 running 64-bit. DragonOS also runs on a Raspberry Pi 4, runs quite nicely. And I have a Cariboulite SDR, which is not zero, it's 100 megs, I think, or something like that. 100 megs up to 6 gigs. Transceiver SDR, and it's in the form factor of a Pi Zero, so it's quite small. It's actually quite small, and it's running on a DragonOS platform. There are 2 versions of DragonOS right at the moment that are available. There is the Focal 64, which is the one that I was showing here, which runs on a 64-bit, so an i5 or an i7 or upwards type processor. It does need 64-bit. It's a 64-bit platform. You can install it. I've just literally installed it native on this particular HP PC. That only has, I think it only has 4 or 6 gigabytes of memory. It hasn't got very much, so it's nothing special. And it also comes as the Raspberry Pi version, which needs a Raspberry Pi. It can run on a Raspberry Pi 3, but the reports that I'm seeing on the list, it runs. There are certain things that it runs a bit like a dog on a Raspberry Pi 3, but it's fine on a Raspberry Pi 4. So, at a future ATV night, I'm going to be showing you the Cariboulite running on a Raspberry Pi Dragon platform. So, if you've got a spare notebook or you've got a spare Pi 4, then you're very lucky, because they're pretty hard to get right at the moment. However, if you've got a spare notebook, 64-bit capable notebook, I would really, and you want to get into SDR, and you want to get into decoding satellites, you want to get into decoding ships, AIS, you want to get in decoding ADS-B, so that's planes, you want to get into SSTV, you want to get into whatever, I would really get you to look at DragonOS, because it is a Linux distro that is specifically built for SDRs and specifically has all of those support programs already installed, already working. So really get you to have a look at, and you can run. One of the reasons why I brought along not only the Pluto, which I understand for some people is out of reach. That's a fairly expensive development platform, but if you've got an RTL-SDR and a decent antenna, probably not one of these, but a decent antenna on the end of it, you can start receiving all of those. This goes to up into the low gigahertz ranges, and so you can receive those microwave satellites that Mike was talking about, and you can receive certainly the lower SDR, the lower emitter bands. Yeah, it would just be, and it just works. Can I just say it just works? I have done very little, but I did a little bit of preparation for this particular presentation, but very little, and it does just work. So, and it is a standard. It uses the LXQT desktop, which takes a little bit of getting used to, but it is a Windows-like desktop. So there is the menu. I'm sorry I can't show that to you. I very quickly tried to work out how to do mirroring on LXQT and failed dismally. So there is something I've got to do. I'll work that out, and I'll bring that back to a future DATV night. So that's now. If there's any questions on DragonOS, hang on. Lionel. Hello, Lionel, and I think you're one of our Outside of VK members. So, well, I did a bit of a welcome to our Outside of VK members earlier. So, welcome, a special welcome to you, Lionel, and thank you for becoming a member of Reast. Very much appreciated. So, and David, now I'm not quite surprised. I'm quite surprised what the RTL-SDR receives with the 20-metre long wire aerial. Spot on, David. You don't need much. You need my advice to people who want to do some shortwave listening is get as much wire in the air as you can either put in your backyard or can afford, and have a listen as to what it's hearing. So as much wire in the air as high as you can get it. that's my bit of advice to shortwave listeners if you want to have a bit of a listen. And the RTL-SDR is a really cheap way of doing it. And DragonOS, if you happen to have a 64-bit laptop lying around that you're not doing anything with and you want to put something on it, you can use DragonOS. And I'll put links to DragonOS and other links in there as well. So so please have a look at DragonOS. It is really worth having a look at. Now, recently, I'll zoom out there, and we will go to, if I get this right, is that, oh, look at that transition. Almost thinking a professional. Don't get overwhelmed, Justin. Now, those who don't know Fred Swainston, VK4 DAC and VK3 DAC and VK4 FE, I think it is. Fred was Fred's huge claim to fame, and a huge thank you to Fred was the RTO, so the Registered Training Organisation, when the WIA had the contract with the ACMA to provide assessment services. So Fred is very familiar with this space. He has come out with a number of Radio Theory Handbooks for the radio amateur. This is the 6th edition. This came out earlier this year. It is the 6th edition. It is a bit of a tome. As you can see, it's 400 odd pages, I think. Yeah, nearly 500 pages. But it includes absolutely everything. It is for foundation, standard and advanced theory, so it encompasses all three. It also now includes, and this is what's included in edition 6, the HackRF, which is the Harmonised Amateur Radio Examination curriculum for now. HackRF is the agreement that the CEPT countries, so all of the most of Europe, Australia, a lot of Asian countries, a lot of Middle Eastern countries have all agreed to. It's a standard curriculum for, in most cases, the advanced license, and what the 6th edition includes is the HackRF syllabus inclusions for advanced operators. So that only applies to advanced operators. But just to give you a bit of a view, the handbook also comes with, just inside here on there's an SD card in here which has the check of understanding for each of the chapters that are in here. And I just go to the contents page. This is all pretty standard stuff. I'll zoom in here a little bit to make it a bit bigger. That's probably a bit better. This follows the syllabus for the foundation, standard and advanced licenses. We go through matter and electricity, DC circuits, the components, the capacitors, the AC circuits. We go through semiconductors, amplifiers, oscillators, transmitters, receivers, different types of receivers, power supplies, interference, transmission lines, antennas, propagation, test equipment, digital modes and other applications, which is a new section. Digital modes was not included in the is actually not included in the syllabus, but is about to be included in the syllabus. Safety, and then there is a big chapter on the mathematics that you need for for amateur radio, and there is a fantastic index at the end. And so this is all you need if you are studying and trying to increase your license from Foundation or Standard up to Advanced. This is the book you need. It's available from Fred Swainston. I will put the links on the description side of the video description. I'll put the links on there so you can see. Basically, Fred sends you all the details. You pay the money, and this arrives express post in your letterbox or your front door, and you've got yourself basically the only manual that you need. It is well illustrated throughout, and you get to the end, and I'll show you. You get to the end of each chapter, and you get to a little section that says oh, here we go. Check of understanding. Please review the check of understanding for this chapter in the memory device that is supplied with the book. And there are a whole lot of questions, so it's an online thing that tells you that you've passed or haven't passed this particular check of understanding. There is also on here, there is test, Foundation, Standard and Advanced assessments, and also regulations assessments. There's all the practical stuff that's also on this. There's a lot of things on this particular memory device that comes with the book. So so there you go. Yep, VK3 DAC VK4 FE. I was correct there. So a huge kudos to Fred. He's done a fantastic job in updating this particular book. Been a long time in coming, but definitely worth the wait. So if you are looking to increase your license up to Standard or Advanced, Fred also quite regularly runs Foundation, Standard and Advanced courses. Actually, Foundation, Standard / Advanced courses. So he puts those two together. This is the this is the book, the reference book that he refers you to. This is all you need to go on and study for that particular for those particular licenses. So, we've got VK3IK. Good evening. Watching while working WSJT. Oh, WSJT on W8. WJTX, I assume it is, on 20 meters sideband. So there you go, multitasking. I love it. I love it. I love it. Now, the next thing I want to go through, because we've got a little bit of time. This arrived in my mailbox, and most people's mailboxes over the last week or so. The latest edition, volume 91, number 5 of Amateur Radio Magazine. This is the Wireless Institute of Australia's flagship magazine. The theme of this particular volume is when all else fails, amateur radios roll. So there's a few interesting articles in here. There is, and this was featured on the broadcast a little while ago, the listening in page, which is SWL or shortwave listening. Which is this is a bit of a deja vu from Robin Harwood's VK7RH's column which was SWL listening, that featured in every magazine. There is a wonderful article about New Zealand and the ZL amateurs. I don't know whether we've got any ZLs on tonight. We usually do have a few, but this is New Zealand's radio amateurs' response to Cyclone Gabrielle. Now, we just left, we literally just left Auckland as Cyclone Gabrielle got near the mainland in New Zealand. We were lucky enough to get out on that particular morning, and by about lunchtime they closed the airport. So I know when this was happening. But this is a great article about how the group of the ZL amateurs handled the emergency radio communication. Considering Australia's radio future in Australia's emergency communication, and this is from Phil Waite, VK2ASD, and it highlights a few Turkey, Syria, and the earthquakes that were there, the fires in Hawaii, and the role of amateur radio in those particular emergencies. Amateur radio plays a role in the new Disaster Emergency Management Centre on the Queensland Gold Coast by Editor-in-Chief Roger Harrison. There's the Newcomers Notebook, and surprise, surprise, they talk about by Jules Perrin, VK3 IJP, and she talks about setting up a Go box, which is a radio in a box that you can basically take with you and set up very quickly, connected to a power source. There's the West Australian News. There is the 75th anniversary of Geelong Amateur Radio Club, or VK3ATL, and I contacted the Geelong Amateur Radio Club call sign, 75th call sign, during the RD quite a number of times. But the thing that really jumped out at me in this particular article is they have the club's Type A Mark III transceiver accessory box with dial, which is the modern edition. These rigs were used in the World War II resistance fighters and spies, and carried in a red leather suitcase, or the Go box of the era. Absolutely love it. These are spy radios, so all very small, all valve, so absolutely fascinating. The 2023 Paliga Park Fest report. So this is a field day that went on. Tripping over stumbling blocks on where exams were held, and I think we're trying to get some clarification from the ACMA on this one. So that's a work in progress. Louis Di Stefano, homebrew 3-band 100-watt HF transceiver, and this is part 1, and I think this is a 3-part series. So he goes through that. Keith Gooley, nifty mod for the Poppin Pulse test project. So this is a bit of test equipment for testing single sideband transceivers. Using a supercap as a battery backup for your IC7300. So this is IC7300s. I really thought didn't come out that long ago, but obviously their little button batteries are going flat. Their memory batteries are going flat. So here's an option. Spectrum Horizons from the Brisbane VHF group, and we then get to Women Make Their Mark Across the Century. So 2023, a century of a cool hobby in Tasmania. And this is by Linda, VK7QP. Fantastic article about YLs in Tasmania from Joy Batchelor and Anne Landers and Susan, VK7LUV. Love that call sign. And the Alara meet in 2008. I actually took that photo, so there you go. That was Alara Meet 2008. I was the impromptu photographer for that one. Fantastic. Helen Dowd up here, VK7HD. Unfortunately, silent key. We've got a gathering: Kathy, Angela, Linda, and Sue, who's K5DU from the US. We've got the President's Lunch. Now this is a lunch that was held at Christmas Hills. At Christmas Hills, the cafe there at Christmas Hills, where the president of Alara, which at the time was Shirley, VK5YL, and I was president of the Wireless Institute at the time. So we all met at a group of us met at Christmas Hills and had a very delightful lunch, and then went from there. So that was a bit of a surprise when that made an appearance in the magazine. And it goes on. The YLs at the Tassie Hamfest back last year, at the November last year. So we've got Jane, Margaret, Catherine, we've got Linda, we've got Angela, and we've got Maria. So who were all YLs at the Hamfest. Absolutely fantastic. So so good stuff. Great article. And then of course a great segue, because the next article is the Alara column from Jenny Wardop, VK3WQ. And I think then it's over to you, the letters to the editor, etc. So so that's the latest and greatest amateur radio magazine. You get this magazine as part of your subscription to the Wireless Institute of Australia. If you're a recent amateur, you've recently got your license, they do offer free membership of the WIA, as we do, free membership of Reast for the first year. And I noticed that the WIA has given an extra year to those amateurs who are new amateurs who got their complimentary membership from 2018 onwards, can apply to the WIA and get another complimentary year of membership. So that's worth a bit of a look. If you're a recent amateur from 2018 forward, then please contact the WIA, because you can actually get another year's free complimentary membership, which includes Amateur Radio Magazine and a whole lot of other. There's gift cards and all sorts of stuff that are in there. You get access to the QSL Bureau and a few other wonderful benefits that the membership affords you. So. Now, just finish off with a few reminders. Alara Meet, which is down here in Hobart on November the 4th and 5th, and in fact it's the 3rd. There's something happening on the 3rd and things happening on the 6th as well. So it's the 3rd to the 6th, but the main events are on the Saturday and the Sunday. They are occurring at the Wool Store Motel in Hobart. Reast is doing a few support arrangements. There's a mystery history tour, and for those Reast members who are interested, the mystery history radio tour, which we're doing of Hobart for the Alara Meet OMs, they're coming along. There's about 20 of them coming along. There are a number of seats available on the bus for Reast members, and it's about 2.5 hours. We travel all over the place. There's a little bit of walking involved, but not much. But you're able to hear about all about the history of radio and communications in Hobart, and we actually go to those particular locations and tell you some stories about what went on and when it went on, and it starts way back in the 1890s and goes all the way up to today, and we finish up here, and the TMR museum and operations room is open and all sorts of things. So for Reast members, if you're interested, please email me and for your place on the bus, and it's the princely sum of $0. So for 2.5 hours of entertainment, you're most welcome to come along. Just email me and let me know you're coming along, so we don't oversubscribe. But it's the 4th, the afternoon, starting at 2 o'clock, the 4th of November, through until about 4:30, 5 o'clock, and we start and finish at the Wool Store. So if you're interested, please let me know. Anyway, that's your blooming lot. To quote Peter Cundall, one of our gardening guru people, who those in Tasmania will know who I'm talking about. That's your lot for this week. 73. We have another program next week, which is some absolutely fascinating pieces of radio history, and I'm not going to give away any more. Next week, absolutely fascinating pieces of radio history. So that's where the morsel I'll leave you with. Anyway, and hello from Richard. Good night from him. Yeah, it's good night from him and good night from me. So good stuff. All right. Thanks, Richard. We'll catch you next time. Have a fantastic week, and we'll catch you next Wednesday from 7:30. 73.